Welcome to this channel, which is a class on research methods by Dr. Lydia Wabugu. This is a class where we discuss everything social science research, from understanding the research discipline, research philosophy, the elements of scientific research, and the methodologies of conducting research. Feel free to ask any question regarding today's lesson on the comment section. Welcome. Welcome to our lesson today, where we shall be continuing with our discussion on validity of quantitative instruments. In our previous lesson, we have discussed content validity. We defined validity as the usefulness and appropriateness of the inferences a researcher makes. We have also explained that validity pertains to the results of an instrument and not the instrument itself. We have said there are three types of validity. We have content validity, construct validity, and criterion-related validity. We have discussed content validity in details. We said that content validity deals with the degree to which an instrument has sampled the subject matter of the research study. We have also discussed two types of content validity, and this is phase and sampling validity. So today is a continuation of the second and the third type of validity, which is construct and criterion validity. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to define the term validity, state the three common types of validity which are applicable in social science. 3, explain the methods of determining construct validity. And 4, explain the methods of determining criterion validity. Note that outcome 1 and 2 is to remind ourselves what we have done in our previous lesson. We have said that validity asks the question, is the data appropriate for the intended use? So let us move to look at construct and criterion-related validity. We start with construct validity. What is a construct? In lesson 3, we defined a construct as an abstract concept that is specifically chosen for a scientific study. Constructs can also be abstract. We may have a construct that is simple. We have simple constructs, and we have other concepts or constructs that are complex. Now, when a construct is simple, it means that it consists of a related concept that is easily measured. Now, let us explain these two types of constructs. A construct may be a simple concept such as a person's weight, or it can be a combination of a set of related concepts. Why do we call some simple? Because they are easily measured. When you want to take somebody's weight, they will just step on a weighing scale and you determine their weight. There are other concepts that are not easily measured. For instance, a construct like attitude. If you wanted to measure the attitude of a student towards a particular subject, would you ask one question or several questions so that you determine that the student has either a positive or a negative attitude? I am sure it would not be as easy as the weight that we mentioned, that you'd only require the person stepping on a weighing machine and taking their weight. To determine the attitude of a student towards a subject, you would need to define it or to measure it based on theories. So constructs that are complex are not tangible, and they are therefore defined by established theories. What we are saying is that theories are used to determine construct validity. Do you still remember how we defined a theory in lesson 1 and lesson 6? So when we talk about construct validity, we measure construct validity by looking at the degree to which the measuring instrument measures a theoretical construct that it purports to measure. That is, an instrument has construct validity if its relationship to other information corresponds well with some theory. Construct validity asks the question, can a measure distinguish between respondents with or without the behavior or quality to be measured? Using the example of attitude, we would be measuring construct validity by asking ourselves, can our instrument distinguish between students with a positive attitude and students with a negative attitude? If the group with the construct performs better than the group without the construct, in other words, if the group that has a positive attitude towards the subject performs better than the students with a negative attitude, then that measure is an evidence that it has construct validity. Another way of determining construct validity is where a group that is weak in the construct is measured using the test. Then the group is taught the construct and measured again. We'll use attitude to explain this method. So it means the students who have a negative attitude are tested. Then the students are taken through the subject again, and then the attitude is measured a second time. If there is a difference between the pre-test and the post-test, then the difference can be said to support construct validity of the test. Triangulation increases construct validity. We have two types of construct validity: convergent and discriminant validity. Convergent validity tests that constructs that are theoretically related to each other are in fact observed to be related to each other. That is, the researcher should be able to show a convergence between similar constructs. Discriminant or divergent validity tests that constructs that are theoretically not related to each other are in fact observed to not be related to each other. That is, the researcher should be able to discriminate between dissimilar constructs. This is similar to what we have explained, that constructs validity determines or measures whether an instrument can distinguish between respondents with or without the behavior or quality to be measured. To estimate the degree to which any two measures are related to each other, we typically use correlation coefficient. Correlation coefficient between theoretically similar measures should be high, while correlation coefficient between theoretically dissimilar measures should be low. But I'm sure the question that you are asking yourself is, how high or how low should the correlation coefficient be to determine convergent, divergent construct validity. Now we move to the third type of validity, which is criterion-related validity. Criterion-related validity measures the extent to which a measure predicts an outcome or predicts another measure. It focuses on the correlation of the instrument being validated with some well-respected outside measures of the same objectives or specifications. There are two types of criterion-related validity. The first one is concurrent and the second one is predictive. With concurrent, it deals with the measures that can be administered at the same time. Concurrent validity is determined by administering both the instruments to a group of respondents, then finding the correlation between the two. I am sure at some point in your life you have gone for a job interview. There are some organizations that will give an oral interview followed by a written interview or vice versa. So concurrent validity asks, would there be a correlation between your oral results and your written interview results? So note that with concurrent, the instrument is administered at the same time. Predictive refers to the extent to which a measuring instrument predicts future outcomes that are logically related to the construct. For instance, can entry test performance predict your future performance? When you conduct an entry performance, the results that you use or the results that you get, can they be used to predict your performance in future? Note that unlike content validity, which we discussed in our previous lesson, which does not yield a correlation coefficient value, construct validity and criterion validity yields a correlation coefficient numerical value, which is also called validity coefficient. And with that, we have come to the end of our lesson today. Today we have discussed construct and criterion related validity. We have said that construct validity is concerned with the degree to which the measure or an instrument measures a theoretical construct that it purports to measure, whereas criterion validity measures the extent to which a measure predicts an outcome or predicts another measure. In our next lesson, we are going to discuss reliability of quantitative instruments. Thank you for being part of this class today. I hope this lesson was helpful. Feel free to comment, like, share this video with your friends. And please subscribe to this channel to attend more lessons like today's. Until the next lesson, where we shall discuss reliability of quantitative instruments. Bye for now.